There we are. All right, everyone. I would like to welcome everyone to the Wednesday, November 12th, 2025 regular school committee meeting. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is over Sean and Michael's shoulder. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If we could just bow our heads for a moment of reflection. Thank you all. I'm remiss to say it was pretty impressive hearing all the students and veterans and everyone in the auditorium saying the pledge the other night. I thought we did a good job tonight, but not as good as the other day. Nonetheless, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, or are there any questions regarding the consent agenda items 2.1 through 2.5?
So.
Any second?
Second.
All in favor of approving the consent agenda?
Aye.
Aye. All, did I hear 5 ayes?
No, because I wasn't here for last month.
Fair. All right. 4 and 1 abstain. Thank you, Michael. Is there any public input this evening? We have engineering here, correct? Engineering, but that's not public input. All right. Item 4.1, Principal McKinnon, fall activities update.
Great, thank you. Tom, if you could get that first picture up. Yep, no problem. There we go, right there, perfect, thank you. That is not Hogwarts, by the way, that is St. George's in Newport. That's where our boys and girls cross-country team finished up versus Penfield School. You see a couple of pictures. I want to ask Ella down the bottom right-hand corner what her secret is, because I've never seen a cross-country runner smiling and laughing.
Running it.
I want to find out what her secret is. And that was one of our final soccer games versus at Block Island. Beautiful day to go out there. Not as nice as it was in September if we ever made it out there, but it was a beautiful day out on Block Island. I want to thank our 3 coaches actually. Jen Shapiro for cross country. This is Jen's, 6th or 7th year of doing that. And Ed Belicia and Sophie Pafad, who were our soccer coaches this year. They did truly a tremendous job. Next slide. This was our school-wide pink out a couple of Thursdays ago, for cancer awareness. Our whole school was involved with it. It was great to see, all the colors that were out there. They truly did a great job. Next slide. This is a picture of our grade 5 students that went to Save the Bay. I believe it was last week or the week before. It's just a great opportunity. They've been doing this now for the past 3 years. Great opportunity for our kids to get out there and become oceanographers and scientists. They do a lot of lab work while they're on the boat. So it was really neat. That's Miss Higgins and Miss Devlin are their 2 teachers. Next slide. This is last week we had the New Bedford Symphony Orchestra quartet here to talk about how music is tied into the environment, in particular with ocean waves. Did a fantastic job for our grades 3 and 4. Also that afternoon, the Grange, Walter Elwell and the Grange Club came over here, and every year they give every 3rd grader a hard copy of the Webster's Dictionary. Next Next slide. Last week, we also had our PTO ran a fundraiser called the Color Run. And Lori Doherty, as you all know, is our PTO person. And she does an outstanding job. Last year, she hired a company to do it and realized that she can do it, cut out the middleman and make a little more money for the PTO. And she did that all by herself. She had 6 or 7 other parents who helped out with the event, and they raised over $3,000 in that one day for the PTO. And that's to give our students opportunities at field trips all over the place. So thank you, Lori Doherty, for that. Next slide. 2 weeks ago, we had our Apple Crunch Day, and that is to brings the importance to eating locally grown, nutritious food. We try to do it at noontime, but we have a couple of classes in there eating lunch at that time. So we had to wait till 12:20 when everybody was done. And that's when we did it. And we also have our Students of the Month for the month of October. And the theme for the month was principals and students who are always honest and truthful. And their teachers picked that one. Next slide, Tom. This is our preschool, pre-K, that went over to the fire department 3 weeks ago. Got an opportunity to visit some of the fire trucks. Looks like they're spraying some hoses as well, and they had a great job. Miss Smith, Miss Carla Woodhouse also took the kids over there. Just a great opportunity for our students. Tom, I think we're on the last slide.
That's it.
Yep, one more slide, sorry. The first picture you have up there was 5 girls. These girls have all been recognized. They wrote a couple of essays to the Yale Youth Diplomacy Program, which takes place at Yale University, May 25th through the 29th. And they were accepted into this program. And you know what, Lori and I had this conversation. It seems like it's a little an opportunity for kids to, go to Yale University, number one, but to sit there with, of the 50 students who are going to be there, somewhere upwards of 35 students from other countries is just going to be a great opportunity. We're in the process of fundraising for the tuition portion of this with these girls, but you know what? Don't be surprised if 20, 30 years from now, you see these young ladies working as ambassadors in other places. Just a great opportunity.
Congratulations, Mike.
And then we have pictures of our Veterans Day. Our students, under the direction of Nicole Oriel, our chorus director, and Noah Russo, they did truly an outstanding job. Also involved with that were Mr. Torres, Miss Miller, and Miss Corrigan. And of course, having the Portsmouth High School marching band here is always a treat. It rocks the gym for that hour time period. And that is everything that's going on. It's a very busy month, last month of October.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. All right, we'll roll right into Dr. Mitchell, Superintendent Accountability Rating and Data Report.
Could you bring that up, please? Well, it's no secret, it's all over social media, et cetera, that we are the 6% of 307 schools in the state are earned 5 stars. What's amazing is that we have done this 3 years in a row. Excellence in schools does not just happen. It takes so much time, energy, and effort. If this is a heavy lift for us to stay at 5 stars, you can only imagine what other communities and schools are dealing with. The teachers should be up here telling you everything that they did to take a very good school into a realm of exemplary performance. And so I just want to take you through a few pieces of the accountability. If you could blow that up a bit. Awesome. Here we go. I have this one close to me. When it comes to achievement in ELA, as you know, our aggregate data grades 3 through 8 as a district, we are #1 in the state for ELA. And we earned 3 out of 4 points there. We earned in math 3 out of 4 points as well. Strong performance, once again, the top district in the state. And science proficiency, we earned 3 out of 3 points there. And another top data point in the state. Growth is also definitely a part of the star rating metric in ELA, but we had a strong performance in terms of the number of students who showed growth over time in ELA, and also in math. It was a mid-level performance. Math is always trickier, but even at that, we have many #1 spots in the state per grade, and then the aggregate as well. When it comes to student chronic absenteeism, we did very well. Jack and I, about 3 years ago, met with RIDE about moving some of these data points. RIDE came on site and gave us a primer in just what it takes to take a very good school into exemplary performance status. And when it came to student and staff absenteeism, we weren't blazing any trails there. And we have now reached a point where I think school culture has improved. SEL supports for kids have increased, and we're seeing chronic absenteeism hold steady below 10%, and teacher chronic absenteeism. I think this is one of the lowest ever. I think just 4% last year, when before it was hovering towards 10 or over. We lost a point for our suspension rate, and sometimes we just have to act on incidents to the degree that the incident is concerning or disrupts student learning, etc. This is a data point. It's 1 to 3 points. We did lose 1 point there, and RIDE actually contacted me at the end of last year. Superintendent Dice Mitchell, are you sure that your suspension rate went up 350% from 1 year to the next? And I said, yes, that is an accurate data point, and it is what it is. So sometimes being a principal and a superintendent, these are the decisions that you make, and you hold firm on them. And so we did lose a point there, and I was stunned, but it is what it is. We don't always want to do that, but sometimes situations necessitate taking that step. Okay, could you shrink it down and maybe go to, go back up a little bit and hit explore LEA accountability data. Thank you. And go down. And here it shows the point system. So for achievement, a school can get between 3 and 11 points. We captured 9. As great as we are, I think it's the best K-8 school in the state, the best aggregate data across the grades. We still didn't capture all the points. Growth, 2 to 6 points towards the sum that equals 5 stars or 4 stars or 3 or 2 or 1. We captured 5, so we did quite well there. We do not have enough MLL students, even though we do, for that data point to be counted. So that's not applicable here. Neither is a graduation rate. We're not high school. Neither is the diploma plus measures that high schools have in place. But when we go to school quality and student success, wow, we knocked it out of the park. The maximum is 15 points, and we earned 14. That is nearly impossible. And that is all about growth. It's about attendance, and it's about school culture. I'll go down a bit more. Thank you. And this, let's see. Yeah, thank you. It'll kind of unfold. Everything is very slow, and we were blocked out of some sites today. All right, that's our ELA. We received 3 points. Right. The state wants us to be at 75% or more to get the maximum points. Go down and look at math. Same thing with math. All right, so there's still work to do. We're still at 5 stars, but you want to get as many points as you can so that if another area is vulnerable, your overall school culture kind of bounces back. Keep on going. And then it comes to growth. We got 3 points for growth. And that means if you look up there, 29% of Little Compton students showed low growth on the state assessment. And that is a data point that we really look at. We look at those kids, their individual performances, see where the gaps are, and support them towards attainment of their grade level standards. 33% showed typical growth, 38% showed high growth. That high growth number is super high, and that means a lot of points towards school culture. We'll get to that later. Keep on going. Thank you so much. Math growth. 31% of Little Compton students showed low growth in math. That makes sense. We're at 70% proficiency. So 30% of our kids showed low growth. And then typical growth, 36%, and 33% showed high growth. So yes, we're 5 stars. We're an exemplary school, one of the highest performing in the state, but there's a lot of work still to be done. Right. Going. Science, it's not a 4-point scale, it's 3. And we did earn all 3 because it has a lower cut score there, 68. Keep on going. And I think that's it. Let's go back up and go across, Tom, to the spot that we accessed. Up, go down. There it is. Thank you so much. School quality and student success. So growth just means like kids did well, but some of those kids are kind of stagnant, and then others need more support. Proficiency rates mean that across all 3 content areas, 7 out of 10 kids are hitting grade level targets. We wish it were 10 out of 10. 7 out of 10 is quite good. Chronic absenteeism, 7.3% of Little Compton students were chronically absent in 2024, 2025. We were in the high teens. We were in the 20s at one point.
Yeah, I mean, when Principal McKinnon came on, what was the number? It was much higher. I know it was post-COVID, but
21%.
albatross.
Also coming off.
COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. We started
It was high.
January 2022. It'll be 4 years. God, that seems awkward. But that's a very difficult area to improve. It's a huge initiative in the state. The governor consistently talking about it anytime he's talking about education. And we're there. And it is not easy. It takes a lot of outreach on Jack's part, on the part of our social worker and our guidance counselor and our teachers, reaching out, getting those kids in school on time and ready to learn. So that across the country is an issue. Rhode Island is on the forefront of mitigating that trend towards truancy or high absenteeism. And the commissioner and members of her team have been asked to speak 3 different countries. Europe, and I think Japan, and I'm trying to think of where else, because we are moving the needle. So that's a data point that I think many districts succeeded at in 24-25. Next, it's chronic absenteeism among teachers. That is a data point that most districts are failing at moving. The commissioner was very pleased with the gains that schools and districts have made regarding students attending school. She's quite displeased regarding teacher absenteeism in the state. She's quite pleased with the company. And like she said, if you have a child who's chronically absent and that child's teachers are also chronically absent, there's no learning. And so I'm so proud of our faculty for their hard work, their passion, the day is never ending for a teacher, and for their attendance. And it's the proof is in the pudding. Here it is. We want to support them in every way we can. And I have to give HR huge kudos for that. I have to give our teachers, our principal, a big shout out for all of this amazing work. But I very often neglect to talk about the district admin team. They really want to hide behind the scenes. But IT, HR, special ed, our consultants, and our business manager, and Jack is part of the admin team. They work nonstop year round. And I just need to give them a shout out. I don't do it often enough. And that is on me to improve in that regard. So we hit it. We were above 10% for a couple of years running here and there, and we are not in the commissioner sites. Next time. There's that suspension rate. You don't want to, you never want to look back. You just want to look forward. But like I said, sometimes administrators have to make decisions they do not want to make. And it's not anything that anyone would know about until data is made public. This is not a school or district that tolerates behavior that is disruptive. And sometimes it takes extraordinary measures that we are all philosophically opposed to, like out of school suspensions. But we're not proud of that at this point. But it is what it is. It reflects the reality of last year. Next. Oops, no. So that fourth band, when it comes to student achievement, it's that blue band. Okay, so this is math performance. That fourth band, when it comes to RICAS, is exceeding expectations. And with such a high amount of our students exceeding expectations, we captured all those points for ELA and math. And that is something that we usually look, we're here to see who's meeting. We never really look at who's exceeding. And we have one of the highest amounts in the state, really. Jack feted recently our students who had perfect scores on RICAS or close to it. How many were there?
There were, I have to think, I think there were 5 students, perfect scores on either ELA or in math. One girl had a perfect score on both ELA and math.
Oh, yeah.
550, 560
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
on both.
And then you also feted those who
And then
got close.
We'll get kids who were within probably 1 or 2 questions. So
Yeah, we just could not leave them.
Yeah, you have
out
to-
of celebration.
include them in. And that's not all the kids who were exceeding. That's just the kids who were, either there or
Perfect.
had perfect scores or near perfect scores.
Yeah, perfect or near perfect. We had, I think, the most ever,
Yeah.
the most ever. They were stunned when Jack called them down. Everyone did great.
That's awesome
They,
to hear that.
particularly wild, those kids. And I did get to speak to them, and it was all girls and one boy.
All girls and one
All
boy.
girls and one boy. Just a pretty big crowd. Next. Scroll down. I think we're complete. So that is where all the data is, aggregated, and then there's all different ways, all different reports that you can print out. I printed out everything and manipulated the data. But the bottom line is, we have the hardest working staff in the state at the top school in the state. And yes, 5 stars, 111, and public school. I'll say it again. freaking ideal program. There's so much to be proud of here. The bragging about it never gets old for me. I think it's sensitive, but
I'm glad you can brag about it. I get like, what's going on down there stairs when I go to the state meetings? Like, how are you guys doing this? But the administration and the teachers are all rowing in this the same direction. The students have the buy-in, the families are supportive. We live in a great community and it takes everybody. But I've said it to Principal McKinnon. It's hard. It's hard to keep doing
it's
this.
hard to get here and stay.
Correct. And stay here.
We're tiny.
Very hard.
And we're in it, you know, to win it. But yeah,
It's incredibly impressive. I think this is the first year you've shared. I mean, I don't know if the data was there for last year or in years past, but
yeah.
kids getting at or almost perfect scores on the RICAS. I mean, our absenteeism, which I know has always been a challenge. People still say that to me when I go to places. Oh, do you guys still go to school down there?
Well,
Like I don't know what we're doing, what they think we're doing, but nonetheless. So to see that come back down in both those areas, it's incredible.
yeah, it is my first meeting at RIDE as a superintendent. We had to introduce ourselves. I said, hi, we're in such a little Compton. They said, oh, the place where attendance is optional?
Yeah, they still think that.
No, is it? Yeah. And I think a lot of small rural communities are seen that way, and unfairly so. But it was a data point that we didn't have to chase. And I think we're there. But it is every day that Jack is in the dashboard. He and I have access to the state attendance tool. In real time, we can see our attendance, where we are, 11%, 12%, the kids' names. This is all at the state level.
Yeah.
And we can see that it's a leaderboard. There is competition among the districts. But that's not why we're there. No, we go after the whys. Why is this child not coming to school?
Correct.
Why is this child late to school a lot, missing? If it's 10 minutes a day, you know, that's almost an hour a week of instruction over 40 weeks. And you do the math. So
Exactly. You don't teach to the score, you teach to the process. What's the process? What is happening? And it's just so impressive. I mean, you know, Michael, myself, and certainly this committee, but some of us have been on this board for a time where it wasn't all high fives and good jobs and keep it up the good work. It was like, how can we figure this out? And to see everybody really figure it out, from families to students to teachers to administration. I mean, to just the community at whole, it's really impressive.
I think so too. And when I'm at RIDE, they'll say, you know, well, Lori, you have a small school, but that doesn't mean it's easy to move.
Correct.
Because the power of small numbers.
Correct. It's a gift and a curse. It's a gift because we can rally the people to get the buy-in, but at the same time, if you don't have that buy-in, and then it just takes, as you know, as we shared.
Dealing with children and teenagers.
Correct.
But we've cracked the code.
Is this the first year we're over aggregately? Are we at 70% for all?
The
Almost, with
assessments,
69 for science. So we're gonna round up to 70. Yeah.
Okay.
70
Yeah.
for
there's
science.
69.
And it's saying for for English on that rubric, we have to get to 75%.
To get all 4 points.
To get
We're almost there.
Wow.
It's like 74.
But don't forget,
change.
it takes, so we were at 55. It takes a long, it's like, you know,
Oh, no question.
a huge ship, you know,
Agreed.
you know.
Is there anyone in the state that hits 75%? To me, that's a very ambitious number.
It's very
A,
ambitious.
a school may have, but I don't, like Lori said, I don't think a district.
An elementary school may with just 2 grades, 34th.
Okay.
It's even more difficult for us because our data includes the level that is the most difficult to move in every district, and that is middle school. So we're not seen as an elementary nor a middle,
Yeah, we're like a
seen
weird.
as that non-standard grade, whatever. So RIDE looks at our district data. It's only have the one school. And if you go to their site and you do a search by district, for ELA, let's say, whatever, you export it, and then you sort, in descending order or ascending order. And each time every district did that, every superintendent in the state, they saw Little Compton, Little Compton, Little Compton. We are the number one district. But we conflate that / school. We are not just 3rd and 4th grade. We're not just 5 through 8. We are 3 through 8. So our aggregate data, our district data is the top in the state.
So are there any other, because every year we get this, whether it's our per pupil cost or our aggregate data, there's no adjustments being made. Who do we have to talk to up there? Or is this like a legislation piece?
Whatever.
Well, no, not even, so I know that they don't have the high school students in there.
It's in there again on this website.
And then with this data piece, I mean, we shouldn't be like this rogue school because of our district situation where we're K-8, we don't have a high school. And they can't, like, you know what I'm saying? They can't process data. I mean, it's great now, but it's just curious to me that.
It's just, I mean, we could disaggregate but they don't call us an elementary. They don't call us a middle. They call us a non-standard. There are 13 in the state. We're the only one with 5 stars. I think the next is like 3 stars. But it is, we are the top district in the state.
So I guess and I saw your email, but why are we being considered non-standard when we have K through 8 like any other town? What makes us, what's really pushing us that we are not considered a K through 8?
We're a K through 8 school. Most schools are not. Most schools are K4, 5, 8, 9, 12.
Yeah.
That's how it's done.
So you're saying there's 13 K to 8s
Like ours.
like us.
Some of them are charters.
Yeah, so we got to rally these folks and say, hey, you got to start differentiating.
Well, I do that when I disaggregate by grade level and you see that we have number 1 4th grade, or number 1 3rd grade math, or I do differentiate, but that doesn't take away.
No, I know what you're saying, but it would be nice to hear like Wilbur McMahon is not only the best district, but we have the best elementary school, K to whatever, you know what I'm saying? Whatever the case is, I'm with Michael to say it doesn't really. So us and these other non-conforming schools, it's just it's just interesting.
But we're number 1 out of every district.
I get that.
That's huge.
So how are we not considered 2 separate schools, even though we're within the same building?
Just not, I don't make that determination. We just,
That's how.
but Cassett School is K4, we're K8. It is what it is.
But that's why we're the Wilbur McMahon School, right? So McMahon was for the middle school, right? And the Wilbur portion of it was for the lower grades, the K through 4.
RIDE didn't recognize that. RIDE sees it as 1 school with 1 code. That's it.
One principal,
One
yeah,
principal,
yeah, one. I went.
that's how it's seen. So you can't get hung up on our configuration.
Yeah.
You need to get hung up on the fact that
Oh no, absolutely. I'm just it just comes up every year, and I'm like, man, don't try to
school
take it away from us.
Every superintendent, when they sorted in descending order, sort Little Compton across the board, ELA math and science.
But
That has never happened before.
the flip side to that is when I get phone calls and I say, and I'm being told, Mike, I thought we were one of the top schools, but we're not in the
Niche or that other stuff.
right. So when these reports come out and we're not being shown that we're within that top 10 and we're being told that we are, or you're telling the public that we're in the top 10 and the average person goes and reads these reports and doesn't see us there. So now they're feeling like, well, we're being lied to. So why? I mean, that's a legitimate concern.
The data doesn't lie. We always say aggregate data, LCSD/WMS. The data this is absurd. This is an absurd.
No, but see,
No, it's not
this is,
absurd.
it's not published properly, is what he's saying. Yeah.
So how do
We
you,
believe you, we're believing you, but when you Google the best schools in the state of Rhode Island, we don't always fall on that list, which is crazy.
Exactly, because we're not in elementary, we're not in middle, and we're not a high.
Correct, which is just nuts. That we're not,
I don't find this funny at all. I find that this is a concern.
yeah, he's not saying it in a bad
I
way.
get phone calls on this.
Yeah, if I'm hearing this correctly, it's, the issue is how RIDE categorizes the school.
Exactly.
It's not how
Correct.
Lori's doing it. And the,
Niche.
I don't think Mike's comments, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, were directed that the Wilbur McMahon School is misrepresenting information. It is that it comes across to folks who then look at different sources of information where we are here talking about how we rank a certain way, and that doesn't necessarily comport with the way other rankings are.
Correct. Or if we're just like,
And it comes across as if there's a misrepresentation.
yeah, or if us and the 13 other non-conforming schools are just removed from
You say, so,
the outcomes.
but I think the ultimate,
Wow.
the answer is,
The answer is right here.
RIDE does it this way. We can have a communication with RIDE to figure out. why-
Yeah, I'm interested. I'm gonna
But
try to reach
is
to the
what it is.
schools and see if we
We're
can
not
have
gonna
a
start
conversation.
tonight.
Here's the answer. The school is 5 stars. So we have the top district data. And we are one of 6% of the schools in the state. It's 18 out of 307 or whatever. That 5 stars. So our school rating correlates with our high achievement. But it's always been this way. I mean, I think for years, RIDE has only seen us as that non-standard whatever. But Wilbur and McMahon School has 5 stars.
Yes, no, we're not.
Not the district, like the school has 5 stars.
Correct.
That's huge.
We know it's huge, Lori. I'm in real estate. If you go to Zillow.com, it doesn't say that we're the best school district. And that's where people go, is what Michael's saying. I'm interested in knowing the 13 other schools, starting the conversation. Do we have to go to the legislation, see what the story is? Because we're getting, it's great. I'm excited about it. I'm complimentary of it. But it's crazy that the niche or whatever, it's true that if you do these searches, it doesn't always aggregate back properly for the average person that's going into the ether.
Right, right, because it's not from an educational entity. It's from a marketing entity or whatever with its own whatever. But if you go to the RIDE site, you will see it. But
Listen, I'm trying to defend the wall, Lord.
oh, yeah. I think we just need to celebrate the 5 stars and be happy with that. And talk to Zillow, I mean, talk to Niche, talk to, whatever entity it is. Maybe they're not. Maybe they're just looking at elementary schools and middle schools, and they're not throwing in non-standard schools.
Very, very true. Very true.
But I don't think RIDE is going to change things on their end.
I'm of the mindset that we always ask those questions. They come back to us and say no, then we say why. I mean, if we just sit there and accept something because it's always been done this way for years, doesn't mean that that's the correct method or the correct answer on anything. And that's true on everything that I do. You always ask, what's the worst that somebody could ever say is no. And I don't think that any of us up here are questioning the great work that everybody is doing in school. That's not the question at all. But from sitting on this side of the table, when we get the phone calls and we have no answer to that, that's a problem. So if it's a reporting issue, then we need to work on that so that we don't get these phone calls, because every year when these reports come out, I've been here the longest out of all of them. I've been getting these same phone calls. So
Just say we're the top district with a 5-star school. What more would people need to know if they wanted to move here? We are number one district, 3 data points, ELA, math, and science, and a 5-star school, 6% schools in the state. This is a very rare.
Got to get it in the paper.
We know how good we are.
That's,
I know that. I want to shout it from the rooftops. You know, I don't want to.
It's a battle with all.
It's not, Lori, it's just like, you guys are, if I'm the best at something and you're telling me I'm the best, but then I go places and they're saying, you're not really the best though. I want to correct why that's wrong if I know I am. And I think that this is a great example of that. This district has worked far too hard for far too long to go from 3 stars to now 5 stars, 3 years in a row, to have any debate about it. This isn't like this is now a trend. We are trending in a direction that our scores have never been higher. Our rating has never been higher. It shouldn't be anywhere incorrectly. So, I mean, that's all Michael and myself are getting at.
Just invite Ride down. Have Ride down come down for a meeting and explain their data. We're not going to get private entities to come and explain their data.
No,
So, I mean, you could do that, but I mean, the conversation, I mean, the
but that,
point's been made.
but that data is probably.
It has been made.
Right.
I wouldn't know. I don't know where they get their data from. Potentially, that you would hope so, but I don't know.
greatschools.org provides their data to Zillow and Realtor.com. I don't even know what that is. Student-based performance, test scores, progress over time, and college reading. Readiness in addition to effectiveness of schools that serve students from different racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic backgrounds. Ratings are on a scale of 1 to 10, above average. Ratings reveal to help parents compare schools. We encourage parents to also visit schools, ask questions, and learn more. So while it might not be the end all, I mean, it shouldn't be, it says 5 stars, but 8 out of 10. You know what I mean? That just buzzes me the wrong way. That's just me though. Anyway, no, it's incredibly impressive. We're trying to champion it in a better fashion. I think that Time should cover it. Ride should give us a shout out. I mean, just these little things, you know. Kids show up at other schools and they're like, wow, you know, people are showing up at school. Like, great. What about the schools that are doing it? We're doing it down here. You guys are hitting the marks. I mean, it wouldn't kill the governor or the head of Ride to say, you know, Little Compton, they've really turned the corner. I mean, in just 5 years, what do you think they shouldn't do that?
Well, we're
the only IB school in the state.
they've recognized that, they visited us, their IB liaison, Steve Osborne. So I think everyone knows how great we are. I think those sites are not authoritative sites. It's secondhand data. I mean, I'm not even sure where they're pulling it from.
I mean, it's perception is reality, Lori. People are seeing it in social media. I mean, there's things on social media that are absolutely incorrect that people believe every day. All I'm saying is, all Michael is saying is that if we are number one, we need to continue to pursue how we can make sure this is known for everybody. So he's not taking calls or the perception when I go into a room is like, yeah, but you're not really. I'm like, no, we are. And this is why. And then there's people that are like, oh, I didn't know that. So, I mean, these are other chairs, other, you know, committee members within the state that are just like, oh yeah, but it's different for you guys. No, it's not. Our kids show up, our teachers show up, our parents buy in, we're excelling on the tests, we're getting the 5 stars. That's all we're saying. Do you have anything else more to add? Anyone?
I'm good.
And yes, I would like to follow up with Sean and invite Ride down here. Give our district a just due. If we're number one in all 3 and 5 stars, that's the least they can do to champion education and outcomes for children and communities that are doing it.
Well, I think, you know, in addition to that, Travis, that we should have an explanation of why we're being considered a non-standard school.
Well, they can provide that, but I mean, there's 13 others. I'll start to see if I can reach out to them, talk to legislators, see what we can do so that there's not this divide.
Mr. McNamee, tough act to follow tonight. Sorry about that.
Let me start off with a update on the 24 audit. So we've been meeting with the Auditor General over the past 2 or 3 months. And the last meeting we had was on October 31st. The Department of Revenue was also there. The audit firm that we're using now is there as well too. So we're anticipating that they would be releasing their report, completing it by December 8th, which is our next meeting with the Auditor General. That will complete 24. We did question moving forward what we could do for 25. And right now we're anticipating I will get them everything they need for the 25 audit by the end of December, and they will do the audit in January. So that without question, we should have a report issued by the end of March for 25. And then that will catch us up in terms of the audits going forward. So that'll be a big help since we got 3 years going, and sometimes I don't know which year I'm in sometimes, but right now we're closing in on completing 24. And I did present to the town council the other night a preliminary 25 and obviously year to date for 26, similar to what I do here every month as well too. So, and that seemed to be well received. I'm not anticipating any changes to the 24 numbers based on what has been presented. The 25 numbers, we had a couple of last minute adjustments. One was for $17,000 that came from for out of district placements, and that was a DCYF placement. And Rhode Island Energy, and I know Phil could weigh in on this too, is their billings are just so atrocious. And Lincoln, I received like $150,000 in back billing in 1 month. What we have here is they've given us credits for our net metering on our electric bills. So I can see the credits coming in. So I know that everything that we're getting for our virtual net metering is showing up on our electric invoice.
Is that the 65 that you referenced?
Right. So that was all on one invoice though, which was back, it was like the October 24 invoice. I received 2 subsequent invoices that now worked off that credit. I haven't received another invoice, so they owe us invoices for 6 months from January through June at this point.
So your October, so if I understand you correctly, your October invoice showed a credit of 65.
October 24.
October 24,
Right.
it showed a credit of 65.
That was, they gave us all the credits by month for the virtual net metering.
And
now we have to pay, obviously, a virtual net metering company, we have to pay 65% of that to them because our discount is 35% on that. So we get the full amount of the credit. We have to pay out 65% of that. So in essence, we're getting a 35% discount on that virtual net metering agreement.
so you're referencing, when you're saying net metering, you're referencing just Warren facility right now.
Right. And then we have the solar, which we didn't see as much of an impact yet because we fired it up in November, December. So I'm anticipating that we would see some additional benefits for the solar generation towards during the summer months too. So some of that may flip into 26. But I'll probably have a little bit of a credit coming in for 25, which I haven't provided for yet till all the stuff comes together at some point in time. So
If I understand you're saying is that we don't know where we stand with our generation from the solar panels for
no, we know what they're generating.
what our credit is or our bill is with Rhode Island Energy based on our solar that we've installed on top of this building. We don't know where that stands, so right?
Well, solar will wind up, those credits are being generated and they're gonna be sold. So they're not gonna offset our bill. They're gonna be sold and we're gonna have the cash coming in, and that cash I'm gonna be recording against our electric account, so that would reduce that. So we've got to look at, they probably do it in almost 3-month increments. So we should be looking at another sale at some point in time that's going to generate some credits for us, which is separate and apart from the electric bill that we're dealing with Rhode Island Energy. So now I've got 6 months of electric bills I'm waiting to get in. Plus I got another, 4 months of bills for 26 that I haven't seen yet either. And they are just, their billing is just atrocious. I mean, everybody complains about it. I know you probably have other customers that are complaining about it, but it's just, and in Lincoln, we actually have, our solar is being offset against our electric bill. So some of that was the fact that we weren't generating enough, because we did this one probably in, probably September, October, November, maybe we got that going. So you're in the low point of your solar generation too. So you need kind of like a year to kind of see what the overall amount is going to be too.
So it almost sounds like that we're not in a true net metering setup here at the school, like.
But we are in the virtual net metering. Yeah, we've got that. We just don't have, we just don't know what the generation, what the electric bills are for Rhode Island Energy for this facility right now.
I mean, is there no, I mean, is there no action we can take? Sean, do you know anything about, like, is there, I mean, they're just going to give us a bill for 6 months, maybe 12. I mean, who knows how long?
I welcome a bill for 6 months, but they gave me one bill at a time and then all of a sudden it stopped. So
It's just,
I will contact them, but I know that we actually use a consultant in Lincoln that's been dealing with them. And it's, they're beside themselves and all too, so.
And
So there'll be a little bit of an impact potentially on 25 for the electricity.
I can talk to John and learn a little bit more in the details about that and report back to the committee as to any possible action we can take. And by action, it might just be, corresponding with them a little bit more forcefully about getting information.
yeah, that's basically it. I mean, it's not fair to have more of the community that we're waiting on.
So one of the things, so Jen, so you speak to 24K in your highlighted area. That could potentially affect FY25. That's not included in any of your FY25 projections. That's something that would be up and beyond, or?
Well, we didn't get the electric bills, but I've got a $46,000 credit sitting on National Grid, on Rhode Island Energy's invoices. So I'm waiting to see how much of that is going to be offset with the usage over the next 6 months. I think I'm going to have enough to offset that 46, so we're not going to be out of pocket. Plus, I've got some solar credits coming in as well too. So I'm thinking at that point in time, I'm not going to have to impact the operations for 25.
I just kind of assumed that this was the monies that we potentially may have to pay to that third party for at our 65%.
That's already in there. That's already in the invoice. That's already in the numbers right now. I booked that.
Can I just go back briefly to the out of district expense, and you had mentioned something about DCYF. Is that a portion of the 17,000?
It's all of the 17.
That's DCYF, not NCTC, the Tiverton.
UIF is notoriously late on billing. And
Okay,
even in Lincoln, we didn't receive any of the billings for April, May, and June until probably September or October. And the state, in fact, the Auditor General had talked to them because they were notorious for doing that, and all the districts were, having issues with them, and he's kind of put some emphasis on them trying to stay current on the billing.
just curious if that's from August on, was that the start of the school year?
No, that was only for April, May, and June.
Do we know if we'd be responsible during the summertime?
We are, I've got a billing I did get a bill for July.
Okay.
That's in 26 already.
And then
Just received that.
my last question is probably for anybody, maybe you, superintendent, if students were to buy into the CTE program at PHS, that would potentially be a decrease in the out-of-district tuition that we're paying. If we had Little Compton students going to the CTE program rather than at the Met or Tiverton.
Well, it's the same.
Yeah, if they go to,
Space superintendents agree on a tuition rate, and I think it's 16.5 right now. So
Okay, so it's all the same.
it's all the same.
Well, the Met isn't the same. If
The Met
they're
is
going to a state
23.
school, it's
Yeah.
going to be almost $26,000 per child versus 16.
This is the first year we have no one at the Met. Usually, yeah.
Okay.
I wanted the Met. Yeah, well, I have.
Transfer.
Yeah.
All of our kids transfer.
John, will the audit, I know you said that the 25 will be done by March. That won't have any impact on us producing a budget for this body, will it? Okay, beautiful. Any other questions?
Just briefly on the capital, I did file an extension on the tax return that's due in order for us to get the investment credit. So that was due November 15th. I have extended that, and that gives us until May 15th, but I intend to complete that return before the end of December, excuse me. And that credit will be the 168, 175 that we're looking forward in investment tax credit on the solar. And that's in my 26 projection for the capital. So we're going to wind up with, at the end of 25, we'd have about 696,000 in accumulated surplus on the capital side, and we're going to be just slightly under 100,000 on the general fund. At this point.
$696 and 100 as of FY 25.
That would be at the end of 25.
Any other questions for John? Anything else you'd like to share?
Good.
Thank you, Mr. McNamee. Committee sub-reports, policy subcommittee. We are going to have a first read tonight on a contract signing policy. We met prior to last month's school committee meeting. Like I said, we have the first read. We'll probably have another meeting before our next school committee meeting in December. But other than that, nothing outstanding to really report. We have the first read, and then we discussed the cell phone policy, and then also the tuition. We had someone come share their thoughts regarding our tuition. Portsmouth School Committee, Mr. Gleicher.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think the one thing to report from the last school committee meeting is that there is going to be an open house in February planned for the new CTE program that Little Compton will be invited to. So I think we should try to promote that a little bit and let people know that they are all in on their career and technical education program there at Portsmouth High and are really putting a lot of effort into it and see it as the future. And I was pretty excited by the presentation that they put forth at the last school committee meeting. There was a few different folks and staff people that came in. There seems to be a lot of good energy around it. So that's where sort of the genesis of my question around the cost of out-of-state tuition came from. I think that it's a really great program, and they're going to potentially be requiring everyone to take at least one CTE course throughout the time that they're at Portsmouth High. They're looking into that and trying to get more folks, more students enrolled. And it's, you know, I didn't know a lot about it, and I'm certainly not an expert, but I was really sort of surprised and happy to learn that it's everything from engineering to music and art and all points in between. So that was sort of my big takeaway from the Portsmouth school committee meeting.
Well said. That CTE program is, it's really robust.
Yeah.
And it's drawing a lot of students from out of district, to your point. Especially Tiverton. I think they have over 40 students from
47.
47. So Tiverton is thrilled about that.
And I don't think we have anyone enrolled currently, so we do have room to improve there. If it's something that makes sense for our student body, which I think it does.
I agree.
Yeah.
Nice to see that they're going to possibly require that our students. Ms. Suchase with our wellness subcommittee report.
Well, the highlight since our last meeting was that there were 5 of us from Little Compton that attended the Rhode Island Coalition for Healthy Schools breakfast in Warwick. And it was a wonderful event with many of our community partners there, like 50 of them at least, the Department of Health. And I was really happy to see so many of the things that were being talked about and promoted are things that we have in place here at Wilbur McMahon, including like our composting and our recycling and our health. The focus of the meeting was health, you know, and wellness. So that was really, really fun. And the breakfast they served us was really healthy and delicious. So that was great. I'm happy to see that staff development, there's yoga classes and exercise classes. And I understand there was a walking challenge for November for the staff. So that's all good stuff. And I wondered if there was, and I know one of the things that Jessica Higgins and Nicole Gay they submitted a grant to the Kendall Foundation, which would expand our farm to school program. So I don't know if the results of that have come in yet.
And they did not get the grant.
They did not get
They made a
the
big stab at it.
Well,
And so now they do have a lot of really good content for another funding source.
Good.
And so there was a webinar last week. We may partner with Portsmouth School Department because funding source is federal money. Wants to see collaborations among districts or districts and 501c3s, nonprofits. So we're so small, if we submit on our own, we will not get it. So I jump in and help, and hopefully we can forge something, get it submitted.
and then I believe our next meeting is scheduled for January of 2023, so of 2026. So yeah, 26 on the horizon. But that's about it.
Thank you, Sue. Town Recreation Liaison Report, Mr. Mark Leisure.
Yep, thank you. 2 items that are relevant, I think, to the school from that meeting are the removal of the bushes along the playground south boundary. It was discussed, safety concern. I believe that the town maintenance crew is going to be dealing with that under the supervision of the recreation committee. But I would be happy to hear more about that if there were any opinions or thoughts around that. And the other is the ongoing maintenance of the playground itself, which does fall under the purview of the rec committee. So we are working with John LaRue and with the town and the school to make sure that some of those concerns around the turnbuckles on the swings and issues like that are being addressed. And I would be interested in knowing more about progress with that and making sure that I'm keeping an eye that those things are happening in a timely fashion. Other than that, there's nothing else to report from the Little Compton School Committee.
Thank you, Mark.
Recommend.
All right, items A, consider, discuss. There's no vote tonight. It's a first read, the contract signing policy. Sean, if you would like to articulate anything.
Sure, I'll just give a brief overview of the policy that was considered by the policy subcommittee at its last meeting. Purpose of the policy. Well, let me back up. So the school committee under state law has the authority to enter into all binding contracts with any party whatsoever. And so a part of the problem that I've experienced with several districts and have found a way to meet like a middle ground of efficiency on one hand and ensuring school committee oversight in the other is this policy drawing that balance of allowing and delegating some authority to enter into certain type of contracts to the superintendent, delegating that authority to the superintendent. And really what that means is there's certain contracts that come across the superintendent's desk from time to time that you need to be executed, and particularly in a timely fashion. And with school committees, particular ones that meet once a month, such as this school committee, that sometimes creates a little bit of backlog and how things can proceed in an orderly fashion. So this policy, again, what it would do would delegate authority to the superintendent to enter into contracts. It would require that the business manager review any of those contracts that have any financial commitments attached with them to make sure that there's money in the bank to afford whatever the superintendent may be contemplating entering into. It also require that there's a budget line item associated with whatever that contract calls for. So it's not just we're just going to go agree to this, that, and the other thing. It has to relate to something that's in the budget. And if the superintendent feels that legal review is warranted, she can then contact me and I would review those for her. If the superintendent believes that the school committee ought to have final approval, in her judgment, she feels that needs to go the extra step. And of course, she doesn't have to sign. She can forward it on to you. Now, the important piece, what type of contracts can she enter into? Those would be contracts that are under $10,000. So any significant financial commitments beyond the 10,000, not only that would certainly come to the school committee. So not only is she bound by what's already pre-authorized in the budget, it's got to be anything under $10,000. Other contracts allocate grant funds or relate to services provided through the use of grant funds. So that's going to be a budget neutral type of thing. She can move forward with those. Employee contracts. Now, employee contracts are approved by the school committee as a template. And then, of course, for everyone with a few exceptions, such as legal and the superintendent herself, those people are hired by the superintendent. So having the contract then come up to the school committee for approval is just kind of backwards. The exception to that, of course, is the collective bargaining agreements. So the collective bargaining agreements, of course, you all negotiate those agreements on a regular basis, and you vote to approve them. So signing off on those is part of your responsibilities. Emergency procurements, that would have to be run later in the policy. It discusses that the emergency procurements would need to be run by at least the chair or the vice chair in the chair's absence, but it's contemplating those sorts of situations where we have an emergency, we need to enter into some type of agreement, and we can't wait for a school committee necessarily to be called in order to approve something. And of course, then those contracts would then go in front of the school committee for like a retroactive approval. IEP students, this is very important. IEP student services or placements. Under federal law, the Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act, the IEP team is the team that drives decisions about student placement. And while it does commit, it could potentially commit the district to certain amounts of money per student. The school committee really does not have any legal say in that decision. So if you were to have a placement decision and a contract forwarded to you, and you deny or refuse to enter into that agreement to allow or effectuate the placement of that student, you would be walking yourself right into a IDEA lawsuit, which of course we would want to avoid. So those, I think really certainly need to be considered something that the superintendent or someone with delegated authority from the superintendent is entering into. Employee separation agreements or employment dispute settlements, except those that arise from any employment dispute that have reached the level of formal school committee consideration. So oftentimes there may be a grievance that is heard. We don't, knock on wood, the administration has a very good working relationship with its union, so this does not happen that often. But when it does, if it does not reach your level and there can be a reasonable accommodation made between the union and the administration, there would be, this would give them the ability to strike that deal without having to come before the school committee. Now, with all that said, this does require that all those things when enter into do go in front of the school committee, so you can see them, so you do have oversight. It is not just something done in the closed quarters of the superintendent's office and it never sees the light of day. You certainly, as school committee and your oversight functions, can review any and all of those agreements, those that need to remain confidential, particularly those that deal with students. We need to handle a different way. It can't be handled in a public session. But you do have that right to oversee those contracts and ensure that, one, this policy, if enacted, is being followed, and two, there aren't any other concerns about what the contracts that the superintendent's entering into. Finally, the delegation of contract signing authority. This does allow the superintendent to authorize a select few to enter into contracts on her behalf. This would be, so IEP, meaning special education director, could sign an agreement, or business manager, if that's related. If something could sign off on something. It's a pretty small school department. I don't suspect that happens too much. Maybe with the special education going on now with in-house, there might be a little bit more of that. So ultimately, that's the gist of the contract. I'm happy to the policy. Happy to answer any questions that anyone has. Mike?
Sure. Where did you know the $10,000 number?
The $10,000 number is associated with the bid regulations. So the $10,000 under state law is when you go above that, you're required to go out to bid. Now, technically the state statute has an inflation increaser on that, but I kept it at the 10, so this doesn't increase with inflation. So that was why that number was picked. You can certainly have a discussion about changing it.
I'm just curious, 'cause locally at the local boards, anything above 5,000, that's when we need to go out for bids. So it's just.
Okay. I mean, and you could certainly consider a 5,000 if you'd rather have it there. I can certainly look at the town charter to see, but we're not going out to bid on something above 5,000, are we?
5,000 in the town charter, but they do refer to the state procurement regulations. Now, that state procurement regulations, but the inflation factor, that 5,000, I think, is somewhere around 12 or 13 at this point.
Right, and I'd say if anything needs to go out to bid, regardless of what this policy says, it's gonna be coming before you to go out to RFP and award a bid.
I guess the second part that I'm not too crazy about that, hey, John, this is nothing against you, but a contract, what?
This is the way you said.
Preface it with that.
Well, no, I mean, it says that a business manager, because it doesn't matter, it's just that position.
Yeah, I get it.
John's filling that position right now. Business manager or a special education director can sign a contract. That they can be delegated to sign contracts.
Mhm.
Business manager and special education director work for the superintendent. Superintendent works for the school committee. The School committee is responsible for the budget for the overall for the year, right? So that's like a trickle down effect, right? So the superintendent works with the school committee as far as budgets, and we go back and forth. The superintendent is our representative for the school committee as far as our budget. Now, basically, you're taking our representative, and that representative is basically given it to somebody else to be able to give the authority to sign that, somebody that we don't have communications with. As far as like, they don't work for us directly.
Okay, yep,
I have a problem with that.
okay. Yeah, I mean, that's certainly up for discussion.
It's up for discussion, and anyone that would like to see changes, please submit them in writing, and we'll discuss it at our next policy subcommittee meeting before we bring it back before this body.
Is there a way to make it subject to approval if we have a new superintendent, or is this something that once it happens, it sort of is there forever?
So this, first of all, since we're at a first read, all of this is up for grabs in terms of changing anything. If you don't want to move forward with it, you don't have to move forward with it. You just really brought forth as a suggestion, because we have had situations where contracts need to be read through and approved quickly. But in terms of a new superintendent, I would like to kind of hear the committee discuss a bit more of fleshing that idea out. Yeah, and I think this is coming from, we want, someone who's new to the district. Yeah, and not necessarily familiar with everything. We want to just have an extra check, and maybe like this, there's like a moratorium on this authority for a certain period of time for a new superintendent. And that would be interesting language to draft, but if that's something that the committee would want to see in there, maybe with a 6 month or a year, we can try to do that, but
If I may.
yeah.
Sean suggested this. This does not come from central admin. He wrote a policy like this for several of the districts.
Correct.
I think we're the last district that sort of endured.
Yeah, the districts do have some varying degrees of this.
This is Sean's idea. This is not.
Right,
I
to be
idea.
clear, yeah, that I was recommending this, working
I
with
agree.
school departments. I see this as something that has worked in other school districts with relative ease, but it is, full disclosure, it is the school committee delegating some of its authority to the superintendent. I mean, it's right there in statute, you have the authority, but be prepared to all the contracts coming your way.
Special meeting.
Especially with special ed.
Correct.
Yeah, and frankly, I don't know what that looks like, especially in context, so.
But at the same time, so any policy that we look at, or the committee looks at, we should not be looking at a policy based on who is sitting in that seat right now.
Oh, I.
No, I'm not saying
agree.
this.
I agree with you.
It's regardless of regardless of the business manager, the superintendent, principal, you,
Agreed.
it doesn't matter who you are.
Mhm.
The policy should be straightforward, so that if somebody replaces you or replaces Lori or Jack, whatever, it's the same thing. It follows suit throughout.
Mhm.
So although I understand your concern, I think that it should be the same way. So I'm not in favor of this the way it's written, but I also understand that there's business that needs to be conducted in between meetings and what have you. But I don't like the idea of being able to just sign anything at $10,000.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, so you got to come up with another number.
And if we were to defer to the charter, it would be a higher number. Because the charter has the piece of the inflation.
Well, they're in the process of changing that, yeah.
When we're talking about it, it still needs to go before the council, so on and so forth. So there's a lot of steps there. But if we don't do this, then it's at an even higher number than it currently sits. It also allows the school committee to not be called for a special meeting for things that we would just say, yeah, what do you mean? Why didn't you sign that? In terms of the special education piece, that director, I think, would only be, we can maybe put in verbiage that they would only be empowered to do so if it was regarding a student's IEP or something within their purview. I wouldn't necessarily want the special education director to make a identification on, something that the facility needed itself, but certainly.
And
Educational outcomes.
right, and the language does read that the superintendent may delegate his or her authority to sign a contract to business manager or special education director as appropriate.
It's appropriate.
Be certainly, if you want to make it clearer that special education director can only sign off on special education related contracts, that can certainly throw that in there.
All right, so this was a first read. What I would say is if you have, want to have changes or further discussion on it, please send it to Sean. He will make the amendments and we will then discuss it at our next policy subcommittee meeting. And with hopes to have a vote and bring it back for a second read. Okay. Excellent. All right, item 8.2, consider, discuss and vote to approve a bid from Martone Service Company Incorporated for HVAC renovations. This gentleman has been incredibly patient here tonight. I'm imagining you are here for this item.
I think so, yes.
Okay. Excellent, Phil.
So my name is Phil Conte. I am the president of Studio Jade. We are architects and engineers. Been working with Little Compton in a variety of capacities over the last, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. So we were asked to advance a project to provide air conditioning to the older part of the school on the second floor. This is not an uncommon request because we know air conditioning improves the environment, improves teaching and learning. So how fast could we accelerate a project and keep it within some fiscal responsibility, some constraints? So you had a considerable amount of HVAC work done over several years, some time ago. So we know that in those areas of the building, you're providing ventilation air, and the heating is coming from the perimeter, from an oil-fired boiler that's circulating hot water. There are also hot water coils in the ventilation component to those classrooms. So that's how you are heating the space, and you are appropriately providing fresh air, ventilation air, lacking air conditioning other than operable windows or some window units. So that is a good candidate for a heat pump approach, where we do not have to introduce major mechanical equipment to bring fresh air in because you're already doing that. So our approach was to install a series of heat pumps along the interior of the classrooms. We broke the bid up into a base bid, which are the 4 front ones on the road, and then an add alternate to pick up 2 more on the left and another add alternate to pick 2 more on the right. In the event that bids came in favorably and you could advance more rooms and bring air conditioning in. So that is the project that went out to bid. Martone bid on that project. The prices, there's a base bid and then an add alternate number 1 and add alternate number 2. So it was brought to our attention that there's some questions about, well, can this also supplement or produce the heating component that's currently, as I said, oil-fired boiler that circulates hot water. So these are heat pumps. So it does have the ability to heat the space. However, it would be best practice and proved since you, and I'll explain why, since you're heating hot water already, that you would leave the perimeter on the window walls. And you would leave the hot water coils in the ventilation air. Because although you would be producing warm air from the units within the room, the new heat pumps, you would take an incredibly long amount of time to heat up that room to an appropriate temperature. Because your ventilation air, right, if you're not circulating that hot water, is going to be dumping outdoor air and into that room. It is just terribly inefficient because of the system you already have in place. Now, someone said, could we go all electric? So we did a little bit more research just recently. And the rooms that we're looking to do operate off of the two smallest air handler units. So you have just enough capacity that if you wanted, you could take the hot water coils out of those two air handling units and put in electric coils for heat. So you could take those two air handling units off of the oil-fired
Existing.
boiler, off the existing. You could, although we probably would not recommend ever trying to rip out all of the fin tube, you would just keep that because that loop is continuous. After that, you have probably about another 6 large, very large air handling units throughout the building that operate off hot water coils. You do not have anywhere near the capacity to make all of those electric. You would have to bring in an entire new electrical service. It would be, in our opinion, you would not do that. It would just be a little irresponsible from an engineering standpoint to try to change all of those hot water coils to electric coils and then introduce a whole new electrical system, which, by the way, yours is relatively new when you did this project several years ago. So I want to make sure I also decouple this from anything associated with solar. You may be generating more power than you're using. I have solar on my house. I generate more power than I'm using. But from an engineering standpoint, we cannot ever assume that that generation compensates for capacity. It's always based on what the connected load is. So if you need 1,000 amps of power, you're going to have to build 1,000 amps of power, no matter if you're generating 2,000 amps of solar, doesn't matter. Solar benefit comes from credits or, taking the peak off your electric bill when you get it. And by the way, this happens in many districts. In Portsmouth, for example, we put in 2 new services at their elementary schools. I'm not even sure they've gotten bills yet on one of those schools. And that was like 6 to 9 months ago. It's ridiculous. And then they get these crazy one-off bills of like $500,000. It's terrible. This is at another level that there needs to be some involvement, but you're not the only one suffering. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have about this little project or future projects or other things you may have.
Yeah, I do. So I think there's a little bit of confusion going here. Because the discussion that we had when this was brought to us was that there would be AC being put into originally 4 classrooms, then the potential for 6. The question at
Potential for 8.
I'm sorry?
For 8. 4 is the base, and then 2 and another 2.
Okay. So in my understanding of this was that I never asked for anything about electric boilers, electric coils, or anything like that. The question was, is that if we're, and I'll use the science room as an example. When you say that we're using heat pumps, I would imagine that individual heat pumps for each room,
Two per room. We're putting 2 units per room.
2 units per room. Okay. So the question was at the time, if we're putting in for AC, why are those not producing heat? Why are we not using, basically it's a heat pump, right? So it does heat and AC. And that was the question.
Right.
It was nothing about changing coils or anything like that. It was just like, why are we putting in systems that are just going to produce AC? And this would be, and I'm not looking personally, I can't speak for anybody else. I was not looking to replace any existing systems that were in place. This would have been a supplemental system that could have been there, because at the time we were told about when we put in the solar, we could also do heat pumps. So that's why this raised the questions. It's nothing to do about removing any loops or any exterior perimeter systems that could stay all in place. It's just, why would we go through all the work of putting in the heads and everything, and it only produce AC? You know, why would we not go to? And that was the question, to go back to you and say, why are we not putting in heat pumps to produce heat and AC?
Sure.
That could potentially offset, right, our oil cost.
And it will, and I apologize if my team did not communicate the fact that these were going to be heat pumps to the administration, and they were not informed enough to relay that to you at that time. So yes, you're going to have air conditioning. Yes, they're producing heat. Best practice, don't rip anything out, because it's just going to supplement it, make it a more comfortable environment, and reduce the load on your oil fire boilers.
That's
For
all.
those spaces.
That's all I was asking for.
Yeah.
I didn't want to see a system that was going to be strictly AC.
Well, and you won't, so you're good. So I don't know the financial constraints in terms of the award on how much you want to go. I've worked with Martone, we're working with them on other projects. I think they've done work here already, so there is one component to this which will come back, is that there was their inability to get a controls number. So they exclude, in their bid, they exclude controls. Now, these units all have local controls. Okay, that's fine, but if there's more monitoring desired or required, that's going to have to be a discussion with the current controls vendor, who needs to, you need to force the marriage, I guess, there, because it didn't develop on its own. So we just require some district input. But I don't think that's significant.
So these are individual heads in classrooms, 2 individual heads per classroom is what you're proposing?
Yes. To handle the load for both.
Right.
Heating.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Conti, for
Yep,
making
no problem.
clarity. Do we have any other questions? Excellent. I will consider a motion to approve the bid from Martone Services Company, Inc. for the HVAC renovations.
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Believe that is unanimous, 5-0. Mr. Conti, thank you so much for your time and your
Thank
patience
you.
this evening. I know you have so much to enjoy unpacking on your ride home.
All good.
No, but thank you for that clarity. That is great to hear, and also really informative in terms of how the process goes. And then thank you for also confirming what this gentleman said. What a mess, that rat's nest, that they don't know who's getting power from where and what, and how to bill it. It's just nuts to me. Anyway.
So Travis, just to clarify, at the end of the day, we're going to have, how many classrooms are we going to do with this going forward? What are we looking at?
What was his total bid?
Base bid was 270. Alternate number 1 to add 2 more was 102. alternate number 2 to add another 2 more was 121. So for example, if you only wanted to do 4, about 270. If you want to do 6, it's 372. If you wanted to do 8, it's 510.
Yeah, so we had 5 projected, 500,000 projected for the HVAC in 26.
For this first phase.
Wow, so we're pretty close. And then in terms of the controls, I know this is off the topic, but I'm just thinking about like the town hall spaces, the council chambers. We have the mini splits in there. And I mean, if you have a meeting in there, it's as simple as, John, if you're in there and you're not feeling comfortable, you just turn it on and make sure to turn it off when you leave. I mean, would we need a greater level of control than that for the teachers in that classroom to kind of be in charge of that? And then moreover, the custodians that have the ability to come through at end of day to ensure things are kind of off? I mean, do we need to have this tied into some master control?
I don't know if, Phil, you're talking about a building management system that really can control that in one spot. So I know that in Lincoln, we've got those in each of the schools. So that the heat is at a certain point in the school, they can kind of monitor it externally. And they can also take it down when the building's not occupied. So that would be integrated in with not only the, yeah, so, but they have to be talking to one another as well when you put these things in, so.
And does our heat already talk? Yeah, so if the heating system's good, I mean, it's really the cooling. It's really the shoulder months, right? Your May, your June, your September into maybe mid-October.
Well, you may have to run these during the summer to keep the mold down in cases.
Fair point, okay.
Not gonna have, they act as dehumidifiers.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
When you reference 6 and 8 for, is that units or is that classrooms?
Classrooms, that's classrooms.
Eight gets us to, is at 510 and 4 is at the 270.
Yeah, and then we obviously would get housing aid for those. Adding, we get that all in 1 year, so we get that in 20, we do that for 26, we'll get that in 27.
Definitely something to talk about.
So we get 40 cents on dollar on that, like
35.
35.
35 guaranteed.
35 guaranteed, yeah. Yeah, I think we actually put in the fact that we had a contract, so we're getting the incentives locked in, so we're gonna get more than the 35%.
Even better.
If we locked that in a couple of years ago.
So at the end of the day, are we doing the 8? I know you said you.
So that would be my recommendation, but see, I can't even sign contracts, Mike, so I mean, it's.
Give it to me all you want.
No, I think we can discuss it at a later date in terms of what it looks like and the financial breakdown, but it's just good to have the clarity on.
I mean, you gotta get them to start working on this stuff too.
Maybe I don't.
Please don't. You're right.
I have a suggestion for more discussion.
Go for it.
If you award the base and alternate number 1, you agree to that.
Yeah.
You can sign that contract with Martone. We know Martone enough that we could say, hey, look at this controls business. You're going to help force this marriage. If that is, not saying it is, if that's $100,000, then you can decide to do that as a change order. Or if he says, hey, that's $10,000 and to pick up those other 2 classrooms would be what he had in here at 121, then you would know, I guess. It gives you a little bit more time. That's what I'm just saying. If you wanted to move the ball forward, you would award base and alternate number 1, and then decide as a change order to pick up alternate number 2 relatively soon, but after this business of controls gets figured out.
And we got 250 in there for 27 for HVAC.
Right.
So we got $750 over the 2-year period.
So how long is option number 2 good at the current price?
Well, so then we got to call Martone. So I called Mike Martone on my way here and I said, are you aware that I'm about to present at a meeting that they're going to award this contract? He's like, no. I was like, okay, so let me see what happens because we may have to have a quick conversation here. We've all worked with him, so I'm pretty comfortable that he's, like, in our bidding documents, it says bid may only be good for 90 days or something like that. We may be, I don't know where we are on that 90 days.
We're not there at all.
Oh, we're not there yet, okay.
And he knew it was tabled. You know.
Yeah, so, I would probably say within another 30 days. Right,
Hit the-
but yeah, again, I don't want to confuse anybody, or I'm just looking for a path that I think is conservative and comfortable. And then still able to get you all those paid rooms.
They're the hottest rooms in the building.
And then thank you also for sharing that path, kind of how to
Yeah.
navigate it out. Really appreciate you coming down and sharing this stuff, though. And when you call Mr. Martone on the way home, just let him know that you're calling about the best school district in the state.
Certainly will, and
Please.
Yeah, call Mike Monto.
Yeah.
If he went here,
Oh, did he?
he's
Okay.
what we're dealing with.
Tell them all, Phil. Tell them all.
I appreciate all of that discussion early. It's a very sensitive issue for you all, which is important, but I do think it is at a level that is at right. And at some type of public relations level that you are, so, you know.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, our vote tonight, I guess it's gonna go back to you.
I know what you're about to ask.
Okay, so what's the answer?
So I think you can have a clarifying vote if you would like to go and follow the recommendation of awarding the bid plus the alternate tonight. Because to get this moving forward.
Because this leaves this open-ended and this doesn't give direction on what we just voted on.
Right. And I think there's some clarity is needed, and I think that's appropriate tonight. I don't have any concerns with the OMA. This all would have been, you know, that last part had come out prior to the motion and would have been fit well right into it. So this, I would say just a vote to award the bid and the alternate one. And then if there's discussion at a later date about alternate two. So just move that the school committee award the base bid and alternate one to Martone. I don't have the full name right in front of me, but
Part-time service.
Martone Services. Seems to say so moved.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent.
Mike Monto is the project manager. Look out tonight.
All right,
Learn from Monto.
Thank you, Phil.
We'll be in touch.
Thank you, Phil. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you so much, all you do.
Item 8.3, consider discuss and vote to approve school committee confidential secretary contract and appointment of school committee confidential secretary.
We have the distinct
Please.
pleasure of introducing Ms. Kate Boyle, Caitlin. She stood out among the pack due to her experience in a school administrative setting, Swansea Public Schools. She currently works for the Bristol County Sheriff's Office as a dispatcher on a shift that enables her to definitely cover everything that we need covered for this particular position because it is very unique. Kate has a bachelor's degree from Bristol State University in English. That will definitely be a plus in this position. She has worked for the Swansea Public Schools, the Christa McAuliffe Charter School, and Somerset Berkeley Public Schools. So she has a lot of experience in an educational setting. She knows about open meetings law and all of that good stuff, and knows how to take notes. She has proved to be a quick learner. She's been exposed a bit to board docs. She's tooled around in there a bit. She's good at website updates and so forth. And Rick's is wonky today, so we may use your expertise. And we have connections. Like in college with one of her uncles, the Boyles of Fall River. And then I worked with her other uncle at Dartmouth High School for 10 years. And I knew her grandmother very well. We used to swim rock to rock at the harbor quite a bit. So, wow, it is an honor and a pleasure to present.
Welcome. Welcome, Kate. And Sean, do you want to articulate why we're having a vote tonight? I mean, it's more of a.
Yeah, so, it's been long standing practice in Little Compton that the confidential secretary to the school committee comes before the school committee for final approval. Earlier tonight, we talked about a contract policy which specified that the superintendent would have final, if adopted, the superintendent would have final say on awarding employment. And under state law, that's generally how this works. But she's gone through the hiring process as the superintendent just laid out, and it is the recommendation tonight to the committee that the committee adopt the contract as presented, and along with awarding Kate Boyle the position for the term there.
Excellent. Any questions, concerns, comments, discussion before we vote?
Sure. How are you? Nervous, are you?
What was that?
Are you nervous at all? Okay, good. I like to put people on the spot sometimes. What is your collective years that you've worked in the Swansea, Somerset, and I think it was McCullough school system?
So I lived in, I've been in education for a while. I worked at the charter school for a couple of years. I relocated back down to the South Coast because that's over in Framingham. I was in Somerset and Somerset Berkeley for 3 years. Shifted to the administrative side post-COVID to the Swansea Public Schools. And shifted to the sheriff's office recently. So, altogether, 8-9 years of education training in the classroom, especially by Gen Ed, and a range of grades to middle school and high school and 18 to 22.
You were in the, you said you didn't specify superintendent, administrative. What was your, I'll say duties then? What were you doing then?
So I was an administrative assistant for the student services department, pre-K through 2nd grade. We would take care of everything IEP related. So we'd go through the process with you, and I was in charge of working closely with my coordinator and getting information out, communicating with parents, phone, email, whatever method it was, to make sure everything was on the same page and move forward smoothly.
Any other questions? Excellent. I will consider a motion to approve the school committee confidential secretary, Caitlin Boyle, and appoint the school committee confidential secretary, Caitlin Boyle. So moved. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Welcome aboard, Caitlin Boyle. Caitlin, how do you spell Caitlin?
Kaitlin.
The normal person. So my mother-in-law did. All right. Well, welcome aboard. I will say, I'd be remiss to say, Mariah, who sits in your seat tonight, was at one time the full-time confidential secretary. Carolyn, who has also filled that role, and we miss her dearly, rest her soul. Jennifer was an excellent confidential secretary. So to say you have big shoes to fill is an understatement. I certainly know you'll be able to do so as this body does, but welcome aboard. And we're excited to have you and bring back some normalcy to the committee. I know it's been, I won't say a heavy lift because you have experience with it, but sometimes you kind of threw this on your plate, you and Carolyn, but you did rise to the occasion. And thank you so much, Mariah. And Carolyn, if you're watching at home, I know you are because I still have to say your spiel.
Yes.
Oh, are there any member requests from information for administration and or legal counsel?
I just had a question about the new flagpole. How did that happen?
I can't answer that question because I don't know about the new flagpole, but I just wanted to bring to your attention, Chair, that I think you skipped over 8.4.
I did. Oh, my gosh, the school committee meetings. Well, so you want to answer, do you want to answer the?
I'm gonna defer to the, and I think I was here the day that it was being constructed, but that was sometime in September or October.
Flagpole was rotted, the rigging was always being replaced. And a stakeholder reached out with some pictures of what we could replace it with. Jason Bertrand, he's the one who's been replacing the rigging and doing all that. And so Chris Jr. and I, looked at different vendors and so forth. Jason had sent us a picture of the nautical version of the flagpole. We thought it was absolutely beautiful. And we all concurred. We were stunned at how low the price was. It's absolutely gorgeous. Company out of Mattapoisett. And the rest is history.
It's just because never heard any discussions about it, didn't know what was going on. All of a sudden, there's sort of a new flagpole up, and I'm just like, where did this come from? I'm
We had
not,
a lot of compliments on it, but it's one of those projects that it was a long time coming. Jason reached out a year ago, December, I think, of 2024. And it was just a matter of Chris and Jason and all of us sort of working together, and it literally happened very quickly. And the lights were also replaced.
Does look good. All right.
do you want us to continue? You want to go to 8?
Oh, yeah, I'm going back to that fun one. Sorry, Sean. 8.4, consider, discuss, and approve the school committee schedule of meetings for 2026. Last year, because we kind of got a little late to the draw on this, and I think our December meeting was winded, rained, and weathered out. We voted on this in early January, so take a look. Remember, in the past, myself and others have had conflicts, but if we have a quorum, we can have a meeting and we can absolutely operate. Does anything jump off this page? Who is the kind soul that put this together? Noting such things as Veterans Day on November 11th, knowing that we would need to push the meeting. Just something simple like that. Anybody? No?
Carolyn,
Carolyn did?
next year,
Carolyn, thank you.
Looks great.
It does. Questions, concerns, comments?
December meeting falls on Hanukkah.
Okay.
What is that?
Do we
Sorry.
December meeting falls on Hanukkah.
that's the second.
No, but what do you think? Because if it's within that first day,
I think it's okay.
are you sure?
Yeah,
Very
I don't know if I would be the only one that would have a problem with it, but I do not have a problem with it.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But then would you like to make a motion?
Maybe I could just take that meeting off. And
You
say,
can.
Yeah, that'll be the plan.
You absolutely can if you
No,
like.
no problem. And I'll be here most likely.
All right. I will then, thank you for your thoughtfulness, Amy. I will consider a motion to approve the 2026 Little Compton School Committee schedule of meetings calendar.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
I think that's unanimous. Do we get a, 5-0? Any more requests from legal counsel? Sorry to skip around on you.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on one question. So. She left.
Ladies room.
Well, my question would be, where are we with our inspection of the media center so that we can use it. Because apparently that's why we're not there.
Well, I don't know. We can just,
I mean, we can just wait or you can, I'm sure she can share that answer at some point.
Yeah, that's fine.
Via email or with Mike or
all right.
back.
We have to go back to open session, right?
Yeah, we do have to come back. It's like Roger, we did put it at the end. We will be coming back and there will be a vote. We're not trying to do anything in the, under the cloak of darkness. And I read this after I'm into an executive session, or actually I read it before.
You were going to have a motion to enter into executive session under Rhode Island General Law, section 42-46-5A1.
So I will consider a motion to enter into executive session under RIGL section 42-46-5A1. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We will vote via roll call, Mariah.
Susan Chase,
Yes.
Amy Glacier. Mark Glacier. Mike Ruja,
All right.
Travis Avi.
Aye. Welcome. And welcome to your first executive session. Yeah, you can pause it. We vote following this, so if you want to watch the second quarter of the Celtics and
Saturday Night Live. Great day.
15 minutes of start.
Awesome. I'd like to welcome everybody back from executive session. And I will note that any person who would be discussed in executive session would have been notified in writing in advance of the meeting and would be given the opportunity to have such discussion in open session pursuant to RIGL section 42-46-5A1. And there will be votes taken now following executive session, but there were no votes taken during executive session. Mariah, can you confirm that Carolyn? Good with that? Yes, excellent. Excellent. That being said, I will consider a motion to seal the minutes of executive session. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? All in favor of sealing the minutes to executive session?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. And I will consider a motion to approve the updated superintendent goals for 25-26 school year.
So moved.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. The motion carries 5-0. I will also consider, go ahead.
Mike had his question from earlier and Lori was out.
Oh, yeah.
That was just the library, right?
Yeah, right. So my question was, where are we with the inspection process of the media center so that we can use the media center for public meetings?
I have reached out to Captain Watt. He's on vacation. When he gets back, he will do what he needs to do, and that is set a capacity limit in there.
Capacity limit for the whole room or just for our meeting section?
Whole room based on square footage that is unobstructed.
Excuse me.
So the tables that we ordered in there, they fold up into flat surfaces. All of the furniture is modular, and so that can be moved. They have the schematics of the library used as a library classroom, and with egress being shown by Studio J did all those schematics, and also the egress routes for when the library is being used as public meeting space. So that's where we are.
My own personal concern on this is that we had this discussion with Phil when we were discussing these plans with prior to everything starting. And at that time, it was said that a meeting space was going to be able to hold 50 people. We were going to be able to facilitate 50 guests in that area. And then I'm saying to myself, why are we asking for what the capacity is going to be of the fire department after the project's done and we've spent all this money? Why wasn't that done prior? I mean, we asked Phil for it, but now why wasn't that reaffirmed with did that come back on the school district? Were we supposed to have done that, or was Phil supposed to have done that?
Well, they haven't signed off on the project yet. So there's still some pieces. The threshold to the new staff room, which is beautiful. So Phil's project manager, Tracy Donnelly, has not come back yet with her checklist. We have our hit list. The temperature in that smaller room is a little bit high and things like that. So it's really not totally done.
But you're referring to a punch list is what you're referring to.
Right.
But this is a capacity, meaning that should have been established and approved, right? Prior to us doing the project, right?
Well, that is the Chief Petron and Randy Watt thing. That is, they shut us down 2 years ago
Right.
because they had never set a capacity limit in the history of the school. And then when the town council ended up having meetings in there, one of them about wind power, and the fire chief walked in and it was packed, standing room only. And he said, we never really formally approved this space as a meeting space throughout the decades, for whatever reason. That process would have to start. And this is what you would have to do. And then you would have to have egress that is clear. measurements or whatever, so.
Oh, yeah, I understand the process. I guess I just kind of like taken back being that we approved this project based on that we would have X amount of people to be able to fit in for meetings. Now, if they come back, if the fire department comes back and they determine different than what we were told, that's not good.
I have no control over that,
Yeah.
but
But that should have been something that should have been done at the very
And
beginning.
again,
I have no control.
I think there could be some answers to that
Yeah.
question, those questions. We can talk about that further at another meeting.
Correct.
I don't want to run afoul of open meetings laws by having a discussion now
And
about something that was brought up. No, but I think your
That's
question is
fine.
valid.
If they come back and everything is the way it was.
Right,
then
understood.
Great. If they come back with the way everything was presented to us, then great. And if we got to talk about it at a different time, that's fine.
Thank you.
Excellent. I will consider a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Aye.
I.
Thank you all for your.